What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Bluthers podcast. My name is Jacob Shanker.
And I'm Gur, and today we're going to be trying a little bit of a different format. Today we're going to be getting three teams from the NFL, and we're going to be ranking how they've been doing and a player who we think is most contributes to our rankings and why.
That's right. So we're going to be giving three teams for today, and we hope you enjoy.
Yeah. All right. So let's get right into it.
Yeah.
So the first team that I wanted to see what you thought about were the Steelers. Because obviously, they've been last year they were pretty good, obviously, with their defense being amazing. But this year they haven't started off so well. So I wanted to see what you were going to give them.
Well, giving them a rank out of 10, I'm giving them a 5. I really think that they're 1-2 right now. Their only win was week 1 against the Bills, which is a good win. And I think their main contributor is it's probably I mean, there's not one player that's really doing outstanding. That's the problem. I mean, obviously Ben Roethlisberger is doing good. Najee Harris is doing fine. The wide receiver core is all over the place. And unfortunately, I mean, if I were to pick one player, it would be TJ Watt, but he's injured, so I can't pick him. So if I had to pick someone, it'd be Ben Roethlisberger because he is all over the place right now, which is what the Steelers are. They're all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, as you see on my white piece of paper, I give them a 4. I think that they are a much better team than they have been playing. And I think that, well, I can't, as you said, I can't really name a player who contributes the most to them not playing as well as they should be playing. I just said the whole defense, because their whole defense is not even close to what it was last year. So their defense, they haven't really, gotten any new players, gotten rid of any new players. It's literally just come back down to the fact that they haven't been performing, and they haven't been as dominant or even close to that as they were last year. And I think that that's what's doing them the most harm right now. Because, I think they have an offense that can put up points.
Honestly, I think the Steelers are the most overrated team in the NFL. And I really do think that. I mean, sure, they have a good, decent team, but I think the problem with the Steelers was they're judging them off of what happened last year, right? Last year, they had the easiest schedule in the entire NFL. And then right when they played a semi-good team, which happened to be your football team, they lost, right? After they had gone, 8-0, and then they've lost. So I mean, their defense is good. I mean, it's obviously much worse now without TJ Watt, but it's not like this team is phenomenal. It's not a top 10 team. I mean, arguably a top 15 team, but I mean, you're looking at it right now. Their offense is inconsistent. Their defense is inconsistent. I mean, the best thing about them right now is the coaching. That's it. The players are not performing. So
I think that's what comes down to it, right? Because I think that they have the pieces. They're just not performing, and they've been inconsistent.
Exactly.
I think the most important thing in football is being consistent. And this team, just a lot of players are extremely inconsistent, and it's doing them a lot of harm.
Yeah. All right, but let's go on to the next team, which is happens to be the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So what did you give your rating?
Well, for me, I give them a 3.
A 3?
A 3.
Worse than the Steelers. Why?
Because they started off really, really poorly. I'm pretty sure they're only 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it comes down again. I can't really name a single player, but their offense isn't really producing. Because I mean, Russell Wilson, I looked at his stats. He hasn't thrown an interception yet. He's been good. He has 895 yards and only 7 touchdowns and 0 interceptions.
Yeah.
0. So I think it comes down to the fact that they can't finish. They can't eat their dinner.
Yeah. I mean, for the Seahawks, I gave them a 6. Right. I think that they've been playing better than the Steelers because, like you said, there are aspects of their team that are actually doing well, which is, of course, their offense, which, I mean, their defense is not good. It's one of the
No.
worst in the league. But that makes sense. But their offense is what really needed to shine, and I think it has. Russell Wilson has been playing well, and like you said, no interceptions. But that's what he does in the first few games of the season. He does really well, and then he starts to fall off. DK Metcalf is doing pretty well. He's still putting up great numbers. Tyler Lockett was phenomenal in week 1 and 2, and last week week 3 he was just not doing well.
Mhm.
And I mean, just their offense as a whole, I think it's top 10. It's
I
still
think their offense is a top 10 offense. It just comes down to the fact that they can't finish.
well, week 1 obviously was a great win, right? They played the Colts and they got beat them, which I think the Colts are a good team. The Titans, it was just getting very unlucky, right? The Titans, both teams played really well the entire game, but the Titans just came out on top. So that's nothing that they could have done. But yesterday's game, I mean, he really did a lot, right? Looking at Russell Wilson, I mean, he threw great. He threw almost 300 yards, got a touchdown. Chris Carson got a touchdown. Everyone did what they needed to do. I mean, Tyler Lockett could have done better, but I mean, yeah, the second half it was not that good. But I don't think that they should fall off more than the Steelers. I mean, how are the Steelers better than
Because
the
here's
Seahawks?
the thing. Here's the thing. For me, I knew, I I expected the Steelers to be not a great team, but a good team.
Yeah,
I expect, because they have good players. It's just inconsistency, which um which bugs me the most. And the Seahawks, like, I expect them to be a great team because they have a lot of good players.
yeah,
They have the best linebacker in the league, in my opinion, in Bobby Wagner. They have one of the most explosive offenses that we've seen in a while.
yeah.
And for them to be 1-2, that's just disappointing. And that's why I gave them a 3. It has nothing to do with the Steelers, just what I expected of the Seahawks. I expected them to I expected them to be 3-0.
I mean, yeah, but also the teams that they're playing, it's not like it's easy teams, right? The Titans are a good team. The Vikings
Mhm.
are, in my opinion, I still think they're a good team.
Oh, they're all good teams, but in my opinion, these are games that they definitely should be winning.
They could have won, yeah, but I don't have such high expectations for this team because I know what happens every year. On paper, it's a phenomenal team, right? Even if you look on their defense, Bobby Wagner and Jamal Adams, you'd think their defense would be really good and their pass coverage, I mean, they'd lock that down. They can't, obviously. And their offense is one of the best in the league, but they just are inconsistent. It happens every single year, and it's
Well,
every
it's not even
player on the team.
inconsistency, it's just falling off.
No, I mean it isn't. That continues with
Because
has to do with
they
inconsistency though.
they start the season going up, 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 and then people are thinking, okay, this is their year. Russell Wilson's going to win MVP. They're gonna go far. And then about week 6 or 7, everything just starts falling off and going way downhill. But this season, the falling off started in week 2.
I mean, yeah, but for me, it's not that I had expectations for the Seahawks to even do so well, right? To win every single game that they've gotten. Sure, they could have won it, but it's against good teams. So I'm still sticking with the 6 because if they lost to teams like, let's say, the Jaguars or the Bengals or the Dolphins, then I'd be worried. Then I'd say, okay, I'd probably give them a 3 or a 4. But the fact that they're still performing well, it's not like they're performing poorly.
Well, you can't say that they're performing well if they're losing games.
They're still, yeah, they are, right? It doesn't matter whether they're losing; they're still performing well against the Titans. Like everyone performed well when they played the Titans. They just weren't able to win, right? You can have a
Well,
team
I
that can
don't.
play well, but they
Here's
just
the
were not
thing.
able to clutch up.
So here's the thing. If
Like,
a
let's
team
talk about
goes
it. Hold
0
on,
and 16,
before you say, like yesterday, what was it? The Packers and the Niners game, right? Both teams played really well. The Niners played really well, but the Packers were just able to close it out.
okay, so I have a question for you. If a team goes 0 and 16 and loses every game 35-30, does
Mhm.
that mean that they've been performing well all season?
No, but I'm saying this is 3 games in. It's not something that they should be worried about.
I definitely think it's something they should be worried about. If their defense can't start performing and
Well, the
playing
defense is
well.
not something that they're going to be able to perform, right? It's just if they can be fine. It's not going to be good, Hopefully they won't be bad. It's just that they can, if Pete Carroll can actually keep it to be fine and they won't let up too much. But it's just that, I mean, the offense just got to be more consistent.
I think if I'm a Seahawks fan, I'm really mad right now.
Well, if I'm a Seahawks fan, I choose a different team after every single year because they never win. They get to the playoff and then they lose the first round. So that's not.
Yeah, but if I'm a Seahawks fan and I see this team, which has, I think, a top 10 offense, definitely a really explosive offense. They have two great wide receivers. They have an incredible quarterback. They have a pretty great running back. If I'm a Seahawks fan, if I'm looking at this team right now, I'm saying, okay, we should be performing a whole lot better than we are. This season started off as a 3 out of 10. It can definitely be turned around. I think it can.
It can, but I mean,
As of right now, they're not performing as well as they should be performing, and that's why for me they get a 3.
I still am saying though, they could be performing better, obviously, and if they did, they probably could have won. But I mean, honestly, I'm even just like, this is a second thought, but I'm just looking at the schedule right now. I mean, if the Seahawks keep performing how they are now, they may not make the playoffs.
Exactly.
No, it's not even just that. I'm looking at their schedule. They play the Niners, the Rams, the Saints, the Packers, Cardinals. I mean, they play a lot of really tough teams.
So they have a really hard schedule, and if they keep playing as bad as not even as bad. They've been playing fine, and if they keep playing fine, they're not going to win football games. And in the end, it comes down to winning football games. And if they're not winning, then I don't think that you can give them more than a 5.
Yeah, I mean, they still got a win though, right? And it's not even just that. It's just I think that
right now they have a losing record.
That's true, but it's only 3 games in, and I still think that they're doing what I would expect them to do. Nothing more, nothing less.
Okay, so I mean, I guess we both had different expectations for the Seahawks, but in my opinion, I mean, I'm sticking to my 3. I think if I'm being flexible and if I'm being really, really nice, I give them a 5. But I don't think you can go higher than that.
I would go either 5 or 6 is what I think is the right range for the Seahawks.
I mean, I'm sticking with my 3 because I did have high expectations for them.
That's fine.
But I can see why you give them a 6. I disagree.
That's fine. But let's go on to the last team, which is the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, this has been one of the biggest surprising teams. I'm honestly going to give them an 8.5 or a 9. Honestly, probably a 9.
I gave them a 10.
A 10. Yeah, 9 or 10.
Yeah, I gave them a 10. I think that the player who's been contributing to that 10 is Derek Carr. He's been having a phenomenal season so far. I think he's leading the NFL in passing yards. He's just been doing great, commanding that offense like an MVP.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even that they're playing easy teams.
Yeah.
Playing the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Dolphins, and they were able to secure the dub in every single one.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that they should get a 10. If we're looking at this at week 3, they get a 10. I don't know if they can keep this up. If they do, they would be the most surprising team in the last decade.
I mean, looking at their schedule, they could continue to win. I mean, obviously they play the Chiefs twice, which they probably will win one, will lose the other, because that's what happens every year when they play the Chiefs. But realistically, they could make the playoffs.
Yeah, they could.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
I'm Gur.
And I'm Jacob Shanker. Tune in to the next episode on Thursday.